Hello everybody, this is Richard Stashy and this is Tinker to Tales, and today I want to talk about the Wendy Theory and The Shining, but I wanted to more focus on The Catcher in Rye this time. As you know, a few weeks ago I talked about The Shining and the Wendy Theory, and we were mentioning all the rabbit holes you could go down with The Shining. We briefly touched on The Catcher in Rye and the scene in the beginning of the movie when Wendy is reading the book with the dog-eared foes. Now, The Catcher in Rye book is famously associated with psychopaths and assassins these days, especially since the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. But when The Shining was made, I don't think it was. Now, I had found several articles, blogs, posts associated with the dog-eared copy of The Catcher in Rye, linking to Lee Harvey Oswald. In case you don't know, Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly been the assassin to the JFK, but a lot of people believe that there was other people on the grassy knoll. Another thing to talk about later, I guess. All right. Now, if by chance that this reference was linking to the scene that Wendy was reading, then it would kind of make sense. The assassination happened back in 1963, and The Shining was filmed between 1978 to 1980. The problem becomes is that all other Catcher in Rye links to cycles come out after 1981. That's because after John Lennon's murder, the media kept on hyping about the Catcher in Rye book, and then Reagan's assassin, or attempted assassin, just took the book with him to do his job, to kind of like exploit.
Like a copycat.
Or a copycat. Okay. Now, I have not found any actual source to Lee Harvey Oswald actually having the book or even reading the book. All right. What I'm talking about as sources, I'm looking for like newspaper sources. Maybe there's some video sources or something like that dating between 1963 to 1980. I would say 1980, 1979, 1980. It has to be before John Lennon, before John Lennon's murder. I'm looking for a source in that time period
that Stanley Kubrick would have been referencing.
That Stanley Cooper not only would have been referencing, but he would at least pretty much be aware of at the time. Because remember, I believe that the Kool-Aid references in The Shining is actually referencing Jonestown. The Jonestown Massacre back in 1978. Because that's when everyone started doing the Kool-Aid jokes. I cannot find any actual source referencing to Lee Harvey Oswald actually having her read the book, okay? The recent online articles that I did find is through Google searches, and those are within the last 10 years, about 10 years. Most of them, yes. And which is really odd. Okay, now I did look into the Warren Commission, and I did find there's 3 books listed in the Warren Commission, 1984, Animal Farm, and Das Capital. I'm sorry, I am not Russian.
It's not Russian, it's German.
I am not German either. Anyway, I found those 3 books listed in the Warren Commission. Now, I also went into the Texas archives of the police report, which had a whole bunch of filings of the materials that they found in Oswald's apartment after they raided him, and I found those books listed as well as a few James Bond books. Once again, no Catcher in Rye. So I thought maybe it was mentioned in the Oliver Stone movie somewhere, but the Oliver Stone JFK movie, but I have not seen it in that. And we thought maybe it was in the 1997 Conspiracy Theory movie, and it's not listed in there either. It does not say Lee Harvey Oswald had the copy of the book. At least as far as I know. Okay. As far as I can find, I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald was ever publicly linked with the book from a credible source. But that's a big question mark to begin with, because the book is under a lot of controversy at the time, and it was also during an early form of a satanic panic at the time, where people were trying to find every little demon possible to get the book banned, especially from the 1960s through the 1970s. So it is quite possible that there is some religious crackpot that might have actually came up with the conclusion of Catcher in Rye bad, Lee Harvey Oswald is bad, they are connected.
Why would it have to be a religious person though? Why couldn't it just be like any...
Well, because believe it or not, it's most of the people that were trying to ban Catcher in Rye was religious groups and parent groups, and the religious groups were banning it because they were claiming that the book was corrupting the youths, yeah, basically, and a lot of finger pointing was trying to figure out where the hippies were coming from. It was like they just came out of nowhere, and they were just finger pointing anything that they can, and it looks like that they were like, these hippies were reading Catcher in Rye when they were like 14 years old, and look what the evils of that book did. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, I have gone down a tangent, but yes, this is what my thoughts are. But is it really a credible source? I don't know.
So, did Lee Harvey Oswald have the book?
As far as I know, no.
It doesn't seem like he did.
Yes, as far as I know, it doesn't.
So then, where did these articles get that information?
I don't know, and that's the big question that's makes me keep on going in this rabbit hole, is that
why are they referencing it?
Well, it's not just that. It's just that I'm watching The Shining. There's Wendy reading The Catcher in Rye. She puts the book down clumsily. I mean, it's not a natural way she puts the book down. She puts it down specifically to show the audience that she has a dog-eared copy, and you see it for almost 10 seconds. I clocked this thing. So it has to mean something.
So there's a reference there.
There's a reference. But the thing is, like, it's not just... What's oddball about that is that when I'm finding these references on the Google search, they specifically say they found the Catcher in Rye book on Lee Harvey Oswald's bookshelf, and because it has dog-eared folds, it's more important than Animal Farm and Mein Kampf. I can't even find Mein Kampf on the list.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure where this person or where they got this information from.
Right.
So what is the scene referencing in The Shining? The other question is it just a coincidence that the article specifically stated Lee Harvey Oswald had the dog-eared copy like that's in the scene? That's a huge coincidence when you think of it, because
I don't think these articles are referencing The Shining.
Yeah, I mean, how are the articles referencing The Shining when the Wendy Theory is relatively new? And when you talk about the Wendy Theory and ask questions to even a horror forum, they're already throwing Rotten Tomatoes at you because they're like, Wendy is not the killer. She's not crazy. So I don't believe that these bloggers are referencing something that they saw of The Shining into the book. So this comes into question, like, is this a Mandela effect now?
Or did someone else have a copy of the book that maybe they're just getting mixed up with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Well, that's the other possibility. because we're talking about the Catcher in the Rye book was made in the 50s, been through a lot of controversy in the 60s and 70s. There's also another thing. There's a possible correlation with The Shining and The Catcher in the Rye. I did run into a very interesting YouTube video. It does not have a lot of views though, and I will put the link on it on his correlation because he kind of suggests that it's quite possible that The Shining is like an off sequel to The Catcher in the Rye, and he has a lot of good points about it. But then again, this is a lot of reference materials that goes a little bit beyond my scope. All right, but I just don't want to really get into this video because I think I'm already going along as it is.
So, long story short, did Lee Harvey Oswald have a copy of The Catcher in the Rye?
We don't know if he had that copy of The Catcher in the Rye.
If he didn't, what does the scene reference? Is it just a reference to the book?
Yeah, it's right. or if anybody else knows.
Right. Do you know what the source is? If he had it, where's the source the credible source that says he had a copy of the book?
Yeah, because I really would like to read the source because I would like to know where this information came from.
Or was it like a news interview or maybe a documentary?
Yeah, and I get the gut feeling that it could be like I said before, it could be like some crackpot that basically started condemning the book Catcher in the Rye, and I would not be completely wrong because a lot of crackpots, because I'm from the Dungeons and Dragons era, if you guys don't know, so I've seen the Satanic Panic, and a lot of crackpots I saw tried to make it like I was sitting down there summoning demons and to do work for me, and if they didn't do what I did, I would end up committing suicide or some other crazy thing. Yeah, yeah, Pikachu has the Satanic Z. I mean, there's a whole bunch of crackpots, so it would not surprise me, especially when you're talking about a time during way before internet, way before YouTube videos. People are just shooting off their mouths saying anything possible. It could be like on one of those daytime TV shows. I mean, I remember back in the 80s, I've actually learned what Joe Camel's face was from one of those TV talk shows.
What's Joe Camel's face?
Well, what you do is you put your hand right over Joe Camel's eyes, and then you could see what his face is.
What is his face?
I'll let my wife look at that later. Anyway, this is Richard Stassi. Thanks for watching. Please, if you have any information, please post anything down there you want to. I'm always happy to talk. And see you guys later.